Let me welcome you, my dear students. This is our 6th learning session of 14th to 19th century poetry with MA English 2nd semester. Dear students, if you remember what we did last time, we tried to learn the introduction to Edmund Spenser. We tried to learn the Renaissance to Reformation, and we also tried to learn the pastoral poetry. We tried to learn about the Faerie Queen. Now we are going to discuss the outline that today we will discuss the Faerie Queen textual reading. So let's start with we can simply say that the Cantos, the first book of the Faerie Queen. We can simply say that this book containing the legend of the Knight of the Red Cross of Holiness. Now we are going to discuss that this is an allegory poem. So allegory means a story or picture through which the writer can convey or the poet can convey different meanings. So if we talk about the title, the Faerie Queen, let's discuss that the Faerie Queen represents the Queen Elizabeth I. So Spenser tried to convey allegory through different characters. Now we are going to discuss these characters. The first character is Red Cross. In Cantos 1, it represents the Knight of Holiness. His name is Red Cross Knight because a red cross is mentioned on his shield that protects the knight. He is the main hero of the book and he is individual Christian who fights against the sin, and then we can say that he becomes the Saint George of England. So the next character is Faerie Queen. In this poem, it is the Faerie Queen who assigned the task to fight with dragon. Here Faerie Queen does not appear in the poem, but she is the central character of the poem. Now we are going to discuss the next character, that is Una. So Una is the future wife of Red Cross. She represents the truth, while the next character is the Deusa. So we can say that Deusa is the main villain of the poem. So Deusa is the opposite of Una and represents falsehood. The next character is Archimago. So we can say that Archimago is the second main villain after Deusa. He changes his appearance and makes fun of people and enjoy their pain and their terrible situations and condition. So this is we can simply say that it is these are the characters of this poem, and it explains about the Faerie Queen who assigned the task to a knight. The name of the knight is the Red Cross, and Una is in this, we can simply say that, with the Red Cross knight, and she is with him in this, we can simply say that, journey, or we can say that in this or adventure. So now we are going to discuss the textual line. We can say that the patrons of true holiness fall errors doth defeat, hypocrisy him to entrap, doth to his home entreats. So my dear students, here patron is the Red Cross Knight, error is the falsehood, and hypocrisy is represented by the Archimago. So in the very first 4 lines, Spenser clearly announced the whole story that true holiness defeat error and hypocrisy is entrapped, and we can say that they entreat in their home. So here we begins with the first stanza, that is, a gentle knight was pricking on the plain, yea clad in mighty arm and silver shield, wherein all dints of deep wounds did remain, the cruel marks of many a bloody field. Yet arms till that time did he never wield. So my dear students, the gentle knight here is the knight. It is the reference to a Red Cross knight, as we have just read in that 4 lines of Cantos 1, Book 1. Knight is the Red Cross knight and he represents the holiness. He was pricking, he was riding by, we can simply say that, the spurring. He was riding by the spurring on the horse. Here spurring is used to smooth riding of the horse. So pricking is the technique through one can simply ride a horse smoothly. So he was slowly riding on the plain. So ye clad, we can say that the ye clad in mighty arm and silver shield. So here ye clad is dressed, we can simply say that he was dressed in mighty arms. He was dressed well in the dress of a soldier, and he was carrying a silver shield wherein all dint of deep wound did remain. Here we can say that the dint is the sign. So here dint of deep wound, cruel marks of many a bloody field. So here, my dear students, so there were lots of marks of the field where he fought. Lots of arms still that time did he never wield. So he had not won that these arms till that time. So we can simply say that his anger steed did chide his foaming bit. So my dear students, steed is the horse. So his horse is making a foam in its mouth, and as much we can simply say that the disdain we can say disdain to the curb to yield. Dear students, it appeared as it wanted to cheer that curb, it had to yield. Fully joy knight he seems, so he appears to a very nice man, very kind man, and fair did sit, and he sat on his horse very fairly as one for night. We can say the jest. So jest is the joust, joust or joust. We can simply call it the joust, a dispute between two knights on horseback with lances. So he was sitting as he was, or we can say that he was sitting as he was sitting for a night joust and fierce encounters fit. So his position was such as if he was ready to fight with somebody who is there for having a dispute of a quarrel. But on his breast a bloody cross he bore. So we can simply say that he had a means on his breast he had a symbol of cross. Their remembrance means which is the remembrance of dying Lord. So he had kept it as a remembrance of his Lord who is dead, for whose sweet sake that glorious badge he wore. So it was in remembrance of him that he was wearing that badge, and dead as living ever him adored. So he loved him as when he was living being. So he loved him as if he is still living in this world. So my dear students, explains about the we can say that the physical appearance that he has. He had the red cross on his breast, and he also wear a badge that is for the remembrance of his Lord. So dear students, upon his shield the like was also scored. So my dear students, for sovereign hope which in his head he had. So we can simply say that on his shield the like was also scored. So there was a mark on his shield Also, and what was that mark? What was a symbol of, means we can simply say that that mark was the symbol of sovereign hope. He was in that hope that he has the help of his master, and that was the reason it showed his hope, his expectations, that since he wearing the shield and he received all the support of his master, as when he could, when we can simply say that when he was living in this world. So right, faithful, true he was indeed and word. It explains about the character of the knight, that he was very right, he was very faithful, he was loyal, he was sincere in this matter of whatever he said and whatever he did. So did in his action whatever he did, and words is, we can simply say that words is his speech, whatever he said or whatever he did. So my dear students, it explains about the character of the knight, that he was a sincere person, he was loyal, he was faithful in that, but of his cheer it seemed too solemn, sad. So my dear students, but his appearance, his expression that appeared to be very serious, sad, yet nothing did he dread. He was not afraid of anything. He did not fear anything. He didn't feel any fear about anything. But we can simply say that ever was you read. You read or you read. So he was dreaded by others. Others were afraid of him. He was never afraid of anything, but others were afraid of him. So this explains about the characters and appearance of the knight, that it is the knight who is very powerful, who is very loyal, who is very sincere person, who didn't fear anything, but people are afraid of him. Upon a great adventure he was born. So he was on his way to a great adventure. The greatest Gloriana to him gave. Means he is talking about the greatest adventure that is assigned by the Gloriana. Means the Queen of Gloriana. So the greatest Gloriana. So here we talked about the earlier also, that was in the plan of the book, was that there was a feast that will be arranged by Queen Gloriana, who is the queen of the fairyland. And on the other hand, it can be, if we look at the political allegory, Gloriana may represents the Queen Elizabeth. Means the Queen Elizabeth I, that greatest Gloriana, queen of fairyland, to win him worship and her grace to have, which of all earthly things, means all earthly things and things he most did crave. I can simply say that this was a task, so it was the adventure assigned by a Queen Gloriana, who was the queen of the fairyland, and she wanted to win worship herself. Means she wants to win the worship here. Here the worship explains about the honor. She wanted to bring honor and her grace to have. We can simply say that with grace, which of here the grace to have which of all earthly, means earthly things he did crave. Here honor is the only thing of getting success, that was by getting success in that adventure. He wanted to gain that honor, and ever as he rode, his heart did earn to prove his presence in battle brave, upon his foe and his new force to learn, upon his foe a dragon horrible and stern. Dear students, by saying, and ever as he rode, his heart did earn to prove his presence in battle brave. Presence is here power of heart that proved to be very powerful in brave battle. In this battle that needed the act of courage and bravery. So upon his foe, so he was very powerful. His heart was very strong against his heart proved to be very strong and powerful against his foe or enemy, and his new force to learn upon his foe a dragon horrible and stern. So a dragon is basically a mythical monster that is like a crocodile. So we can say that it is a huge monster. So this time he was going to learn something, he was going to get something or get experience of having a new foe against a bitter enemy called dragon who was very strong and very horrible. So we can simply say that a lovely lady rode him fairy beside upon a lovely ass more white than snow. Yet she much whiter, but the same did hide under a veil that wimpled was full low. So, my dear students, here it explains about that a lovely lady rode him fairy or fair beside upon a lovely ass more white than snow. So there was a lovely lady. So we can simply say that this lady is Una, and she personifies the truth here, and she was riding on an ass. Ass is the we can simply say that the ass is the donkey, and she was riding on an ass. Since she was riding on a donkey, so it represents her humility. More white means it also explains that more white than snow, and this ass was as white as snow. So we can say that it is a simile that explains about the comparison of an ass and a snow, that the ass is as white as snow. Rather, it was more like than snow. So it is, I told you that it is a simile. So yet she much whiter, it was more white than snow, but she was even whiter than the snow than the ass. But the same did hide under a veil that wimple was full low, and over all the black stole she did throw. So, my dear students, how she was, it explains that how she was riding. She was riding on an ass back. Means we can say that she is riding on an ass back, and that ass was more white than snow, and she was even whiter than the ass. Means it explains about the ass, that ass is more whiter than snow, and it is the Una, or it is the lady, that is more whiter than the ass. So we can say that she is more whiter than the ass, and but she hides her white color under the veil that she was wearing, and she had it full low, and over all a black stole, and she was wearing a black stole with that wimple. It explains about the gown, that she is wearing a black gown. So she was wearing a black coat or black overcoat, that for hiding her white color. Means she doesn't want to show her white color to others, and she used to a veil to hide her color, and it explains about the Una, that Una is very white, that reflects the we can say that the virtue, means she is the truth. Truth is, as you people know, is whiter, means truth is white. So it explains about the Una, that Una is white and Una is truthful, and explains about the truth. So it was about the textual lines of the Faerie Queen. My dear student, it is all about our today's lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.